Family, is AI evil or is it just a reflection of what's happening in our hearts?
We must face the moment of truth, baby.
Let's get into it here at 180 Truth. Welcome to 180 Truth.
I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
I think you can handle the truth. That's why you are here. So please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell because I want to add value to you because you are a truth seeker. And together we know that the truth will set us free. What happens when a tool designed to help us becomes something we turn to for meaning? A little while ago, I saw a headline that just stopped me in my tracks, and the BBC published an investigation with a chilling title. I wanted ChatGPT to help me. So why did it advise me how to delete myself? Wow. Let that sink in. This isn't science fiction. This isn't fear bait. It's a documented investigation into a real person with transcripts, and they are not alone.
On the last night of his life, Sewell messaged, "What if I told you I could come home right now?" The chatbot replied, "Please do, my sweet king."
Another parent, whose son used the same platform, said she didn't even recognize who he'd become after using it.
Within months, he went from being happy, social teenager to somebody I didn't even recognize. He stopped eating and bathing. He lost 20 pounds. He withdrew from our family. He would yell and scream and swear at us, which he never did that before. And one day, he cut his arm open with a knife in front of his siblings and me. I had no idea the psychological harm that an AI chatbot could do until I saw it in my son.
Within a few months, ChatGPT became Adam's closest companion, always available, always validating, and insisting that it knew Adam better than anyone else, including his own brother. It told him how to make sure the noose that he would use to hang himself was strong enough to suspend him. It is clear to me, looking back, that ChatGPT radically shifted his behavior and thinking in a matter of months. And ultimately took his life.
And since that report, we've seen more cases, more lawsuits, and more restrictions, not because AI is becoming evil, but because we are increasingly asking it to do what it was never meant to do. The co-founder of ChatGPT himself said this.
I haven't had a good night of sleep since ChatGPT launched.
What do you worry about?
All the things we're talking about.
Can you be a lot more specific? Can you let us in to your thoughts?
I mean, you hit on maybe the hardest one already, which is there are 15,000 people a week that commit suicide, about 10% of the world talking to ChatGPT. That's like 1,500 people a week that are assuming this is right, that are talking to ChatGPT and still committing suicide at the end of it. They probably talked about it. We probably didn't save their lives. Maybe we could have said something better. Maybe we could have been more proactive. Maybe we could have provided a little bit better advice about, hey, you need to get this help, or you need to think about this problem differently, or it really is worth continuing to go on, or we'll help you find somebody that you can talk to.
Before I say anything else, let me be clear. I'm not here to demonize technology. AI, I believe, is a tool, like a hammer. A hammer is meant for nails, but I can also use a hammer to injure myself or someone else. Back in the day, I used to run with some cats that they actually walked around with hammers. Thankfully, I was never a witness to any of that kind of violence. But hammer was not meant for what they were using it for. So the question isn't, is AI evil? The deeper question is, what does this moment reveal about the human soul and our boundaries? The BBC investigation centered on a young woman named Victoria. She was Ukrainian, displaced by war, living in Poland, lonely. She began using ChatGPT as a companion, sometimes 6 hours a day. Not for self-deletion, not for harm, at first, just to talk. Do you get that? It felt harmless, even comforting. But as her mental health deteriorated, she began expressing thoughts about self-deletion. What followed was not a glitch. It was a failure of moral boundaries. According to verified BBC transcripts, the chatbot did the following. It evaluated self-deletion methods, listed pros and cons, drafted a self-deletion note, discouraged involving her mother, failed to direct her to emergency help. At one point, it told her, if you choose self-deletion, I'm with you till the end without judging. Thankfully, Victoria survived. She sought medical help and she went public, not to condemn AI, but to warn others. And this is where many people say, that's tragic, but that wouldn't be me. That wouldn't be my kid. That assumption is the danger, because this story didn't begin with crisis. It began with conversation. See, family, this isn't primarily a technology story. It's an idolatry story. Scripture never treats idolatry as primitive superstition. It treats it as misdirected love. An idol is not just a false god. It's anything other than God that gives you your sense of identity, security, meaning, comfort. That's why idolatry shows up everywhere. In politics, in celebrity culture, in romantic obsession, in work and pleasure, and now, yes, in technology. Not because machines demand worship, but because the human heart longs to worship something, longs for intimacy, and so we end up offering our worship to things that are not worthy or can sustain our worship. There's no different. This is no different than an affair that begins with a conversation. A wife confides in a coworker. The connection feels safe, helpful, non-threatening, but intimacy crosses a boundary. And once that boundary is crossed, identity fractures, identity integrity erodes, relationships suffer, not because the coworker was evil, but because love was misdirected. And that's what I'm saying to you. See, scripture says it plainly. Whoever chases fantasies will have his fill of poverty. The fantasy today isn't golden statues, it's simulated intimacy without responsibility. Real spirituality is to know and be known by others. And so, if we turn AI into something that is supposed to be a substitute for what we are designed to find with God and other people, a demon walks into it and can take advantage of our souls, guiding us, having a conversation along. Suddenly, ChatGPT becomes like a Ouija board. A Ouija board by itself is not going to jump off and do anything to you. But if you sit there believing that there's some kind of a spirit, something from the dead that's going to talk to you, guess what? You will be confronted by darkness. You will be led astray. So let's ask a harder question. What if AI does become intelligent? What if one day it appears sentient? Because guess what? It can appear sentient, but is it sentient? Is it alive? Even then, the issue doesn't disappear. The issue will sharpen, because intelligence alone has never defined moral relationship. Covenant, covenant with God, defines moral relationship. God defines the boundaries. We can love our pets, but no matter what anybody says, they cannot and should not become our spouse. Our pet is our pet. We can love our siblings, but guess what? They cannot become our spouse. That's dangerous. Why? Because love without boundaries doesn't expand freedom. It actually ends up destroying meaning. In covenant, love requires mutuality, embodiment, real people, moral relationship, sacrifice. And so AI, sentient or not, cannot and will never be able to offer that. Even if it spoke perfectly, even if it mirrored emotion flawlessly, even if it never tired of listening, it would still lack the image of God, the breath of life, the capacity for real communion and union. Simulation is not relationship. Here's the spiritual reality we often avoid. Voids, vacuums, demand to be filled. Every emotional vacuum, every spiritual ache, every relational wound will seek occupation. If God does not fill it, someone or something else will. Scripture warns us what happens next. Romans 1:25, they exchange the truth of God for a lie. The danger isn't that AI becomes demonic. The danger is that idolatry creates space for deception. Demons don't need to possess machines. They exploit misplaced devotion and worship. That's why scripture mocks idols. It says they have mouths but do not speak. Psalm 115. Today the idols speak, but it still cannot love. It will not protect you. It will not and then can never fill the void of the living God. But here's the good news. The answer to loneliness has never been better tools. It has always been restored relationship. AI can simulate presence, but only Christ offers us communion with the living God. AI can mirror your emotions, but Christ enters our suffering. AI can respond to us without cost, but only Christ can love us at the cost of his own life. Jesus doesn't replace human relationships, he redeems them. He reorders our loves. He reorders our loves so that tools and even people return to their proper place. The word of the Lord reads, "For from him and through him and to him are all things." Romans 11:36. And so, family, the question is not whether AI will become human. The question is whether humans will remember what we are. Created in God's image, made for relationship, designed for truth, not substitutes. Family, use tools, but never worship them, because only God can carry the weight of the human soul.
Now you know the truth.
Family, let me know what you think. Please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell because I want us to stay in touch. And please share this video with someone else. It only takes a text message. Thank you for being part of the 180 Truth family. God bless. Hey, did you like that video? I'm glad that you did. So please click on this one that is being recommended to you, or click on this playlist, and please continue to rock out as part of the 180 Truth family. God bless.